have a warm welcome for Jim Manalisay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim.
You're the best. All right, ladies, how are you?
Good.
I was at a loud event last night, so my voice is a little rough, but if you can't hear me, let me know and I'll just go ahead and use the mic, but for now I'll just speak. So I'm going to run through a couple things today. I'm going to help you guys get out of your blocks. I'm going to help you understand personalities and how to read them on people instantly, okay? So let me just go through the purpose of the seminar. We're going to learn how to look at people and interpret them. Because, you know, have you guys heard of the Myers-Briggs exam?
Yeah.
Okay, so most of you guys, it's 4 personalities. So I'm going to teach you those 4 personalities instantly today to be able to read from people. That way when you shake someone's hand, do business, even interpret your own family a little bit better. And what's more important is how to understand yourself, like your strengths and challenges, okay? And then we're going to go into how you can have problems with those personalities under stress, which we call blocks, phobias, you know, self-limiting beliefs. And from that, I'm going to teach you how to get rid of some of that stuff. Okay? Who here wants to get rid of your blocks? All right, so I'm going to go into that a little bit today. All right. So to understand everything, in understanding people, you have to kind of look through what the body is made of and how we're designed. And really, kind of the medical model and the chiropractic model and the psychological model, they focus on one area, right? But really, we as people have 4 sides to us. We have our physical bones and muscles, we have our chemical and hormones, we have our feelings, okay? And then we have the higher power, our chakras, our soul, our consciousness, our will. That's really the spiritual part of us, okay? I'm going to go through everything quickly because a lot of this information, we have a limited time, so I'm going to try to go through quickly, but it's all on tape for you later. The other side of understanding personalities is the 25 body type system, which I'll talk about at another time because this is a whole wealth of information here that's too much to go into today. But I'm going to brief about it a little bit, okay? So these are the 4 personality types as the Chinese have defined it. Okay? They had a great way many thousands of years ago of interpreting people as kind of the 4 parts of the planet: the water, fire, earth, air. And it makes it easy to remember that way because now you can kind of see it as that element in a person. You know, how many people in here have said, oh, those Italians are really fiery, right? You know, and oh, those guys over there, they're just really down to earth, you know, that kind of thing. So I'm going to talk about how the elements play out and so that you can understand them first, and then I'm going to teach you how to read them in people's faces and in their body structure, okay? So before we get into all of the details, I want you to hear from kind of the founder of the 4-element system and how to actually find the pressure points on your body, because they are located in this area and you can actually test somebody and get their genetic kind of operating system or their element immediately with some basic testing. Okay, so if you're not sure like about yourself or a family member, it can be actually tested and confirmed. Okay, and that's what I do.
Well, folks, I've always had a thirst for clinical knowledge since I went to chiropractic school and got my degree over 30 years ago. So I've been taking seminars every year to learn more about how I can diagnose and treat people more effectively. In 1988, a person came here from Australia, his name was Glenn Brady. He was a publisher, not a doctor, but he came over and taught a 6-day course on the elements of mankind in a nice hotel in San Francisco. And I went to that seminar for 6 days. And I couldn't believe the wealth of information that this guy presented. And he had slides and videos and everything to describe what he was talking about. And Glenn Brady was in the group of 12 people, well, you can call them 12 disciples, to hear this information. The only people invited to hear this information were publishers, because the person who wanted them to learn it wanted this information spread around the world. So Glenn Brady did a fantastic job in writing this all down, organizing it in a 30 segment loose leaf with 30 segments. And each segment was on a facet of personality of a human being and how to recognize that person by these different elements of mankind that were described in 6 days. So there were 4 elements: the earth element, the fire element, the water element, and the air element, which all came from Chinese metaphysics 7,000 years ago. So I heard this for 6 days. I went to this fascinating seminar. Glenn Brady's not a doctor. He doesn't do muscle testing or anything like that. He just presented the information. He said, keep a list of 1 to 33 down the left side of a page and make 4 columns going across the horizontal: earth, fire, air, water. And he said, we're going to discuss one aspect of personality, and after we discuss that, well, you see whether you're dominant in that element and put a check in the box that represents. So if you were a dominant earth, you put a check in the earth column. If you're a dominant fire in that element, you put a check in the fire column. He did that with 33 separate facets of living. And after the week, we added up the column with the most checks in it, and that was our dominant element, which is a blueprint for all our strengths and all our weaknesses for our entire life. And I thought, wow, what a fantastic system. It's the code of being for everybody. You don't have to guess on what career would be good for you, what food to eat, where exercise, where to live, etc., etc. It's all in us already.
Okay, so Dr. Gertler is one of my mentors and my professor teachers that have been mentoring me for 15 years. Him and Dr. Fox and a few other people, which you'll see on the video soon. And so he kind of discovered where the actual pressure points were. All right, so I'm going to brief through that a little bit later. So we can basically interpret people's personalities by the way the planet works as well. So when you say, someone's fiery, what makes fire stronger? Air. Blow some air on it, right? So air people intensify fire elements behavior. Okay? So if someone's overly excited and they're very fiery, what's the best way to extinguish them? Water. Okay, good. So you put people out that are fiery by putting them together with water element people that are more reserved and conservative and soft-spoken. And then the same with earth. Earth is symbolized by wood and leaves. That also intensifies fire, okay? And so all of these elements have a similar design and a similar reaction with people. That's basically what I'm sharing here. So every person, just like with the Myers-Briggs exam, we have 2 personalities. We have a female aspect and we have a male aspect, every one of you. And some of you lean more towards one than the other. So I'm going to teach you how to interpret some of that in the element system and understand your female and your male personality traits, okay? So basically, of the 2 personality traits, there's the most common are the ones on the top. Earth, air, or air, earth, and fire, water, or water, fire. Those are the most common because they share extrovert and introvert qualities. These up here are half extrovert, half introvert. Very common, like 70% of people have an extrovert and introvert quality. These people here are the more rare, uncommon types, which would be fire, earth, earth, fire. That's extrovert, extrovert. Those people are jumping off the walls all the time. They're very, almost obnoxious, okay? Then the air, water, water, air people are very, very reserved, extremely conservative, and very quiet kind of people. These are the less common types of personalities, okay? So let's go right into each element real quick, okay? Earth is symbolized by kind of the washed down, muddy, kind of green or brown tones. And the element of earth is symbolized by fall. That's the time of the year that the earth element has its energy systems. And they actually, earth people admire that time of the year as well. They do well in more of the fall times of the planet or the areas of the earth that are more cool. And their energy comes in at 3 p.m. in the middle of the day. That's when the earth people have most of their energy, okay? and it's symbolized by a square. Earth people are generally extroverted. They like to give to people, like coaching or teaching or speaking, and they have a way of, like the earth does, when you pour water on dirt, what happens? It soaks in slowly. Okay, so they learn slowly, but it stays. Generally, earth people maintain long-term memory. Okay? So here are the characteristics for an earth type female or male. And you can be a male or a female and be earth. Though it is a feminine quality, earth is feminine, you can be a man and be earth. There's plenty of earth guys around. In fact, most of America is earth. It's like 60-70% of America is earth. All right? And that's the typical look of the earth style person. And I'm going to show you how to read it real quick in their face. Earth is symbolized by the square, and so typically earth people have a more square profile. They have a more square jawline, a more square cheekbone, dominant, strong cheekbone area, and a wider chin, which makes their head look more square. You ever go, at football games and they call, hey blockhead, you heard that term? Okay, that's the profile of earth, kind of a blocky, solid. The Arnold Schwarzenegger kind of muscular tone is generally what earth has. And the style of earth and the kinesthetics of earth is to touch and feel and smell and taste things. That's their dominant sense. They perceive the whole world with their senses. They love to touch and experience things, okay? And earth people are typically very dramatic, and they do very well on stage performances, doing coaching, singing, and they have that excess energy to give. Okay, so they make for really good entertainers and really good coaching type people, especially in the physical aspect of like aerobics and training for physical sports. Okay, so let's go into air real quick. And I'm going through these quickly because I want to get to the key part of this presentation, which is removing the damage of element failure in blocks and phobias, okay? But I want you to understand this part because it's good and it's very valuable. So the air element would be a male trait where the other one was female. This is a male characteristic. Air is the season of summer. It's when the air is the hottest and the sun is coming in and it's very dry and the air is dominant, and the air people get their energy towards more of the morning time, okay, right before earth kicks in, okay? And that's the shape and the color of air. We like to symbolize it by the kind of the yellowy white kind of pastel. So air elements are typically more introverted. They are good at being alone. They don't mind sitting at a computer for 8 hours calculating, analyzing, doing mathematics, engineering, accounting. Okay? And the qualities of earth, just like air is very thin, what happens with things that are very thin? If they don't absorb as easily. So air picks up a lot of information very quickly, but it doesn't have a holding of it. It doesn't have a long-term memory quality to it, okay? So, there's some other aspects of air. This is your typical look of the air element. They have a elongated face, narrow cheekbones, tall, long arms, tall and long legs, and they have that very logical, no expression look, like Dr. Spock. Who watches Star Trek? Okay? Most of you guys know the characters on Star Trek. I'm going to kind of compare them after you hear all of this so you can understand a little bit more. But air element people are very linear. They like the facts. They're like attorneys, They're like engineers. They're accountants. I want accuracy. Give me like the details of it, and they'll ask you question after question until you're like, dang, I've been yapping with this person for like 30 minutes, and they just want to keep learning. They're like soaking in everything. Okay, so without the circles on them, that's the structure of the air element. Okay, both women and men have that longer look to them. Okay, And a lot of people that are air elements, what do they get called in school when they're teased? Airheads, eggheads, right? They have that egg shape to their head, kind of oval, all right? So every element has a quality and a disadvantage. Okay, there isn't one element that's a benefit over the others. And the aspects of air, they have the fast learning abilities, but they have a way of being very unemotional about things. So when you're around air people, anticipate they're going to be kind of logical and not really feel the emotion of what you're explaining or involving yourself in. They're going to look at it more of like, let me understand the facts of it, okay? All right, so let's go into water real quick. Water is a female trait. Water and earth are both female, and they're the dense aspects of our planet. Water, what does water do in the world when you see the rain come, when the oceans flow, when the rivers go through? It grows, it nurtures, right? Water is a nurturing, growing, gentle element. It has a way of wanting to help out, to give something and grow something. So water elements have that aspect like spring rain coming in. The spring is when water falls and the plants start to get nurtured, right? All right. And just like earth, water is dense. And so when you take some salt and you pour it in the water and you stir it, it doesn't absorb instantly. You got to stir it a little bit, okay? So a little bit slower learning, but long-term memory. That's the look of your typical water element person. Okay, the girls that are water elements are very tender and soft looking. They have a childlike kind of expression. And so do the men. The men have round faces, a playful, childlike kind of look to them. And boy, the water people love the color blue. Anytime you see someone just wearing blue all the time, you're probably thinking they probably like or they are water. Okay, they love the blue sky, they love going to the ocean. It's just a common trait. Okay? That's what they look like without the rings. You can get a better look at the facial structure. Okay? So the water people are very generally soft-spoken, a lot like your mediators. When you go to the psychologist, tell me your feelings, right? Tell me your thoughts. What are you going through, okay? And they're really good at even understanding people's emotions naturally without even going through training. Like Oprah and those kind of people, typically water. Oprah's probably water or water fire, okay? She wants to help out. This is the characteristic. They're very family-oriented kind of people. They want to be supportive in that way. Some of the qualities about water is they like the shortest path to things. They want to get things done as easily as possible, okay? And water has this really wonderful way of being creative. So a lot of people that are water elements, they're going to lean towards the arts, music, photography, creative painting, or something that has to do with beauty, okay? So there are people that are designing some of the graphics that you see on television. They're the ones doing the editing of things and creating that spin to it that gives it that extra feel, okay? So the last element of fire. Who likes fiery people? She might even be fire. Fire people love red, and they love blue, and they love bright white, and they like primary colors. So if you go in your closet and you notice everything is very primary color oriented, and you notice that you've got this I want to get it done now kind of sensation, those are typically the fire elements. And you would think fire is more of the summer thing because it's hot. It's not. Fire is when lightning strikes. That's when there's a lot of electrical energy. That's the element of winter. And it's symbolized by this triangle because basically, I'm going to get into that next actually. So the fire element is extroverted. They're commonly very extroverted, and they love, not like Earth, to give, they don't love to give attention as much, Earth loves to give attention, coach, do aerobics, talk, mentor. Fire likes to get attention. They want attention. They want to be on stage. They want to be, you look at Hollywood. Okay, most of the women and the men in Hollywood are fire, like Mel Gibson and Halle Berry and those. Look at their face, okay? Fire people love to be the center of attention, and the triangle is commonly the shape of their face. You see women or men with that triangle kind of sharp chin look. That's commonly a fire element, and they like to, especially the women, have bright things on. Even that's why I got overboard with the pink hair, but let me take the triangles off real quick. All right, so that's without the triangles. Can you see the kind of point in their chin and the triangle kind of shape in their head and the seductive look in their eyes? Okay, especially the men that are fiery, they just very seductive. Let me go back. So the fire element people are commonly a little more petite. They're not as tall. They have a lot of energy getting pulled out of their bodies, so they don't grow as much. Okay? They do. They have a lot of energy. They expel so much energy that their systems and their glands are a little bit compromised. They're not quite as tall. The earth people soak in energy. Earth people just soak it in from the environment, and so they get rugged and big naturally. So the fire people, what's the best position to be when you're fire is to be a salesperson. How many salespeople, like at the car lot, they're just like on it with you. They got like a way of like getting around all of your obstacles and selling you. Okay, so if you're going to be in a business and you want good salespeople, get the fiery people. Okay, they're the ones that are going to close the deal. And as I mentioned, they're the actors in Hollywood too. They just love attention. The good qualities and the different characteristics of fire is they're very intuitive. There's an energy that's flowing through them just like lightning, and it connects with a higher power a little bit more than the other elements. They have this intuition naturally. So fire, if you can get in touch with the fiery part of you, because everyone has all four elements. Okay, you have them all, and they are operating, but everyone leans towards the two. Especially under stress. You're stressed out, you lean towards your elements. Okay? The key today is to try to get you out of your elements. They're not a benefit. You want to get out of your elements and use all four. Okay? I'm going to teach you that. So, people get stressed out and elements fail. In other words, your personality switches. Extroverts become introverts. Right? You get stressed out enough and you're extroverted, what happens? You start to withdraw, right? Or the quiet, peaceful guy that's generally very subdued starts like going crazy or like drinking too much, dancing on the tables. Okay? That's what happens. People switch. The key is not to switch under stress, but the key is to use all four through removing the brakes off the car, because we all have brakes on, right? We all have our brakes on, stopping us from money, from relationships, from being successful, from public speaking, all that stuff. This is where the four elements are on the body. Dr. Larry Gertler, probably about 12 years ago, discovered these. These are the actual pressure points right around the belly button. And the Chinese talk about energy coming, the qi going through your center right here, right? That's kind of why he thought that might be the right place, but he was right. Okay? The extrovert points on the top, the introvert points are on the bottom. So when you're stressed out enough and your elements start to fail and you start switching and you start becoming more introverted when naturally you're kind of social, and you become a little bit obnoxious when generally you're fairly logical about things, that's when your body's breaking down. And it's breaking down emotionally and spiritually. And so, like that square, everything affects the other thing. So if you're emotionally compromised, you're going to be chemically compromised. You're going to be physically subluxated. The subluxated is what chiropractors explain when a neck bone comes out of place, because the muscles are failing, and so bones are moving, and you start getting really uncomfortable. Okay, who wants to come up? Okay, let's figure out her elements real quick. What do you guys think? She looks like probably the water fire side, somewhere on that side. Is that right? You're probably water, fire, fire, water.
Yeah.
She's got the sharp chin. She's more petite. Okay, she has the softer features. She's not as rugged looking with the strong cheekbones. Okay, this is your common water, fire kind of girl. So why don't we just do a quick test?
Okay.
Just put your arm out, and I'm going to test her strength. All right. So this is a general muscle test. She's nice and strong. So where's your belly button? Right here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, here's earth, air. She's strong. Here's fire, water. See that? So she's fire, water. Here's fire and earth, strong as a rock. You feel me pushing hard?
Uh-huh.
Here's earth, air, strong as a rock. Here's fire, water, and I'm just gently, and she goes weak. So she is fire, water.